When Michael Jackson first opened on Broadway, I was really intrigued by how a show about Michael Jackson would actually work on stage. And now that I finally got the chance to see it, I have a lot to say about this show. Hi San Diego, my name is Joel and I create content around musicals and plays across Southern California, and today we are diving to my full review of MJ the Musical. The production I saw was the Equity National Tour of MJ the Musical. This jukebox musical tells the story behind the creation of Michael Jackson's 1992 Dangerous Tour through dance and music, while also showing the rehearsals, creative process, and personal struggles Michael faced before opening the tour. I saw the show during its run at the San Diego Civic Theatre as part of the 48th season of Broadway San Diego, and this was my very first time experiencing this musical. When I first researched the show, I thought the story would be pretty straightforward and easy to execute. And while it is easy to follow, I also found myself feeling slightly underwhelmed by the payoff at the end. And let me explain. I don't think this is a bad show at all, but for me, the ending doesn't feel fully satisfying. Throughout the entire musical, we constantly hear about Michael struggling, especially financially. Because of all the additions and creative ideas he wanted for the Dangerous Tour, one of the biggest examples is the famous toaster effect, which eventually became one of the most iconic moments of the tour. So when the finale finally arrives, and you see Jordan Markus perform the toaster effect with all the visuals, it definitely looks cool, but that's kind of where it stops for me. My reaction was basically, okay, he did it. Now what? If you already know Michael Jackson's history, then of course you know that the Dangerous Tour became a massive worldwide success. But the musical expects the audience to already know that information, instead of properly showing the resolution itself. And to me, that's a pretty big issue, because not everyone walking into the theater necessarily knows what happened afterward. Like I said, this is 1992. That being said, I still enjoy the storytelling overall. I like that documentary style framing device where everything is being told through interviews and rehearsals. It works well and it makes Michael's struggles feel very clear throughout the whole show. This musical lives and dies by whoever plays Michael Jackson. And in this tour, that responsibility falls on Jordan Markus. And honestly, I was blown away by him. The way he moves, the way he sings, the mannerism, the stage presence, there were moments where it genuinely felt like you were watching Michael himself. The dancing alone was incredibly impressive, but what stood out the most to me was how naturally he carried himself throughout the performance. I actually got the chance to speak with him. I have his signature here at the stage door after the show, and I asked him which era of Michael he enjoys performing the most. His answer was the Dangerous Tour era, which luckily is what I get to do most of the time. And honestly, you can tell. That's clearly where he feels the most comfortable and confident on stage. But Jordan isn't the only Michael in this show. There are also younger versions of Michael, including Little Michael and what I would call Middle Michael. And genuinely, I don't have enough words to describe how impressive all three performances are. Little Michael, played by 9-year-old Eric Wells, is unbelievable. His energy, vocals, dancing, it honestly feels like you're watching the real young Michael Jackson perform live. Then you have Brandon Lee Harris as Middle Michael, who my friend and I both agreed might actually be the most accurate portrayal out of the three. The moment he performs Dancing Machine and the rest of the Jackson 5 era material and beginning of the solo era of Michael, it's honestly shocking how accurate he is. So overall, I really don't have many complaints when it comes to performances in this show. The cast absolutely delivers. This musical was created and choreographed by Christopher Wilden, and throughout the entire production, you can clearly see the craftsmanship of someone who truly understands movement and visual storytelling. And honestly, I think that approach fits MJ perfectly. Michael Jackson wasn't just known for his music. He completely revolutionized dance and performance, choreography was such a big part of his identity, whether it's Beat It, Thriller, Billie Jean, or Dancing Machine. Because of that, nearly every number in this musical feels carefully crafted. There were actual moments where I stopped watching Jordan Markus entirely just to focus on what the ensemble was doing in the background. That's how strong the choreography is throughout the show. Now, let's talk about music. You know I love music, so let's talk about it. This is where my second major issue with the show comes in. Michael Jackson's catalog is legendary. He had hit after hit, dating all the way back to the Jackson 5 era. So I understand how difficult it must be to structure all those songs into one cohesive musical. For me, Act 1 works incredibly well. Opening with Beat It immediately sets the tone for the show. And once Michael begins reflecting on his life, the song choices feel natural. As the pressure and struggles begin to build, you start getting songs with more emotional weight like You Can't Win, I Can't Help It, and They Don't Care About Us. And the Act 1 finale is genuinely incredible. I'll talk more about the staging later on the video, but that entirely medley sequence was one of my favorite moments of the night. My issues comes during Act 2. The act opens strongly with the Billie Jean outfit reveal, which works perfectly as an opener. But after that, the pacing starts to feel uneven. You suddenly get a string of softer, slower songs like Keep the Faith, She's Out of My Life, and Human Nature. And then suddenly, bam! The show launches into a thriller as the big 10 o'clock number. Now, don't get me wrong, this was probably my second favorite scene in the entire show. The sequence itself is fantastic, but dramatically it felt a little bit forced, especially because Thriller had already appeared earlier in the musical during the Grammy medley in Act 1, so when it suddenly came back in this nightmare-style sequence, which honestly reminded me a lot of a spooky Mormon hell dream from the Book of Mormon, it felt less like the natural story progression and more like the show trying to regain audience energy. Still, overall, the song selection is strong. I just think that the arrangement and pacing of Act 2 could have been better balanced. Musically though, the show sounds phenomenal. Under musical director Nathaniel Wilkins, hearing Michael Jackson's songs performed live with this band is honestly an amazing experience. Huge shout out to the entire MJ band. Back in 2022, MJ the Musical received Tony nominations for Best Scenic Design and Best Lighting Design, winning the latter. And honestly, after seeing the show, I completely understand why. The lighting design is phenomenal and works beautifully alongside Paul Tazewell's costumes. Every new costume reveal feels exciting, iconic, and perfectly timed with the lighting cues. While the scenic design itself isn't as impressive as the lighting, there are still several standout moments. The biggest examples are the Act 1 finale with the shattered glass effect and the Thriller nightmare sequence. The shattered glass moment is especially stunning. You see Michael delivering the dangerous speech with a giant television effect behind him. Then suddenly you hear a loud shot sound effect, the screen appears to shatter and pieces of reflective glass descend onto the stage. The visuals becomes fragmented and chaotic while Michael stands right in the center of it all. It's honestly one of the most visually memorable moments in the show. The Thriller sequence is much simpler in comparison, but still incredibly effective. The scene has this dark circus-like atmosphere while fully embracing the iconic choreography and imagery of the song. And honestly, it's hard not to love hearing Thriller perform live. Overall, this was a really fun theater experience, and the audience the night I attended clearly had a great time. People were constantly cheering whenever something exciting happened, clapping after big dance breaks, singing along quietly, and just fully enjoying themselves. I will say that Act 2 did feel slightly less engaging for the audience compared to Act 1, but thankfully the energy in the theater never completely disappeared. And honestly, one of the biggest strengths of this musical is how accessible it is. Yes, this show is absolutely made for Michael Jackson fans, but it still works really well for people who might not normally watch musicals. There's nothing overly abstract or difficult to understand about it. You don't need theater experience to enjoy the show. You just get it. So whether you're a hardcore Michael Jackson fan or simply someone looking for a fun night at the theater, I think MJ the Musical is definitely worth watching. Even though I said a lot of positive things about this show, I do think the issues I mentioned affected my overall ranking, so for me MJ the Musical gets a solid 3.8 out of 5, but still, it's a really good show. And well, that will be all on my end. If you came all the way here, thank you so much for watching this video. Also to remind you that I have Instagram, TikTok, so if you don't follow me yet and you like this content, make sure to follow me because I give insights, upcoming dates, more information about tickets for all the upcoming shows coming to San Diego especially. So if you like that type of content, my socials will be perfect for you. In the upcoming days, I will be uploading the full story about The Sound of Music, which is the next musical coming up in San Diego. It will be starring May the 25th, Tuesday, May the 25th. Thank you so much, and I'll see you behind the anchor.